Conservative new media viewers, LA Lakers fans around the world, JLin fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFA, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we are here to celebrate and discuss the Lakers' 112-110 overtime victory tonight that was seen by everybody in the USA on ESPN against the defending champion San Antonio Spurs. With the victory, the Lakers improved to 7-16 on the season. The Spurs fall to 16-7. There's a whole bunch of pregame stuff I want to say that was going on before this game, but before that, let me just quickly run over what happened in this game. Just a quick overview of the game. The Lakers were ahead for much of this game. They started out in a 0-10 deficit. The Spurs went up 10-0 quick. And then the Lakers came back. They played with a lot of energy. They found their rhythm. And they were ahead until late in the fourth, I think. So they were ahead in this game from the second quarter all the way until late in the fourth quarter. And then Byron Scott made a big mistake. And that mistake was taking JLin out of the game. And it almost cost the team the lead, the victory. Fortunately, it did not. Scott took Lin out with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. And at that time in the game, the Lakers were up by 4 points. Once Jeremy went out of the game for the remainder of regulation, the Lakers were outscored 9-5. At that point in the game, Kobe was playing point guard. Nick Young was playing shooting guard. Wes Johnson was playing small forward. Kobe had, I believe, a couple turnovers during that period of time, and everything bogged down. It all just started to fall apart. Luckily for the Lakers, Manu Ginobili missed a free throw late that could have sealed the win for them, and Tim Duncan missed a turnaround jump shot with no time remaining that would also have given the Spurs the win. So at the end of regulation, it was 101-101. We went into overtime, and Byron still hadn't put Jeremy back into the game. We got to 1 minute and 4 seconds left in the overtime. At that point in time, the Spurs were ahead 110-109. Finally, Byron Scott put JLin back into the game. And I'm being told that somebody, an assistant coach, was talking to Byron before he put Jeremy back in. And to be fair to Byron, Jeremy was at the scorer's table for some time before that. He just couldn't get into the game because there wasn't a break in the action. You have to wait until something happens or a whistle or the play is stopped before you can check in. So Jeremy came in with 1:04 left and the Lakers down 1. And at that point in time, since the late in the fourth quarter, when Byron Scott had pulled him out of the game, the Lakers had been outscored 18-13, and Kobe had several turnovers trying to play point guard. Then Jeremy comes in. He immediately draws a foul on Tim Duncan, which gives the possession back to the Lakers. And then after that play, late in the shot clock with time running down in the game, seconds left in the game, Jeremy passes the ball to Nick Young, and Nick Young hits the game-winning three-pointer. That's a summary of what happened. We'll go over plenty of more, but that's what occurred. If Byron Scott doesn't put JLin back into the game, I don't think the Lakers win this game. And if Byron Scott leaves JLin in late in the fourth quarter, I think the Lakers would have won the game in overtime. This is the principle that Lin fans call got Lin, got win. You got to have JLin to get your wins, particularly against the big-time teams like this. Jeremy's performed well against the Spurs in his career, well against Tony Parker. So, okay, that's the main overview. And the main overview for JLin in this game was he was extremely good for most of the game. Then he lost his shooting touch in the fourth, but he was still playing well, even though he was missing shots. And then when he got the chance to come back in, he went to Mr. Clutch mode and basically delivered the Lakers the win. So that's the overview for him. Now, let's talk about everything that was happening before this game, the lead up to the game, because it's important into how this game played out and what was said after the game and some of the post-game interviews. First thing that would happen, after the Lakers beat the Sacramento Kings in the last game, game number 22, Byron Scott said that he was going to use Kobe more at the point guard position. And I think he was talking about late in the games, which is obviously what we saw down the stretch tonight. What also happened in that Sacramento game was that at some point in the game, Lakers reporter Mike Trudell, who's the sideline reporter for Time Warner Cable Sportsnet, which broadcasts the Lakers games, tweeted out that JLin had let Kobe know that Kobe messed up on defense. And Kobe wasn't happy about it, but basically Jeremy got in his face and told him. And this is a good thing. We've heard that Kobe wants to go at people and he wants people to tell him and come back at him, and Jeremy did it in that instance. And that was during the Sacramento game, which the Lakers won. Now, I've said before, I believed that if Byron Scott is going to continue to not have JLin in the starting lineup, I think there's a good chance he will put Wayne Ellington into the starting lineup. And I think that even more after watching tonight's game, in which Ronnie Price was 0 for 4, had 0 points, and just didn't do much in this game. I'm sure he played some solid defense, but nothing spectacular. So Byron Scott's he's gonna need to think about that. Now, I know he's happy now because the team has won games back to back, and that's good. But you got to look at that. Look, I think Jeremy should be starting, which I made no secret about that. But if you're going to continue to do this and not have Jeremy as a starter, I think you're definitely going to really need to look at Wayne Ellington starting alongside of Kobe. Okay. I'm just looking over my notes really quickly here. Yes, Byron Scott has thought about starting Kobe Bryant at the point guard, so that is something Byron has been considering, though we haven't gotten to that point yet, and Byron said that he's not there yet. I've said previously that I believe Byron Scott is making some of these changes, one, because he's trying to learn his roster and who is best at what role and who plays well with whom and these things. Also, Byron's desperate. The team was on course to have the worst record in Lakers history by winning percentage. So you got to do something. You can have Magic Johnson come out and say that we should tank, but nobody in the Lakers wants to tank. In fact, Jeannie and Jim Buss said in an interview with Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, Lakers don't tank. So that's not going to work. Byron's got to win games. And that's, I think, is a big reason why he's been shaking the lineup up to try to figure out how to do that. So Kobe plays point guard a lot anyway. This is one of the reasons why it's been probably challenging for some of the better point guards to possibly fit with Kobe. Now, of course, the Lakers did trade for Chris Paul, and that would have been maybe the best point guard in the league if that deal would have been completed. But Kobe always seems to do better with somebody that's like the Derek Fisher role, which is almost the way that JLin was used in Houston, which is more like you spot up and I'll find you for shots. And every now and then you can handle the ball some, but I'm going to handle the ball, me, the shooting guard, most of the time. So look, this happened to Steve Nash, who's one of the greatest point guards who ever lived. Now, Steve's a little older and he's having some injury issues, but he's still Steve Nash. And Kobe took the ball out of his hands. So it's not a surprise that if Kobe's going to do that with Jeremy. This is the way that Kobe plays. The difference between Jeremy and Steve Nash, however, is that Steve Nash can play shooting guard to Kobe's point guard because Steve's one of the greatest shooters in the history of the league. Jeremy's not at that level, and he's still working to improve his shooting. So it's a tough fit for Jeremy. We're in another situation where it's not the perfect system and personnel for him in the same way that Houston wasn't once they acquired James Harden. So it's a challenging situation for Jeremy, but he's making the best out of it. He came out and played hard tonight, which we'll get more to in a second. Now, yesterday, and what many of you have already heard about, was the whole thing with Kobe returning to practice and yelling at his teammates. One of them yelled at the most was JLin. Now, I've said this on Twitter, and I absolutely believe this. Kobe returned to practice for public relation reasons. PR, marketing. Why? Because it looked like he was going to come into the Spurs game and pass Michael Jordan. Well, that's a big event. I think Kobe wanted to make it even bigger because the Lakers don't have a good record this year. So it's like, well, I got to get some attention. Okay, I'm going to practice for the first time in weeks, and I'm going to do something that's going to get the attention of all the reporters. During tonight's game against the Spurs, Lakers announcer Bill McDonald said that Kobe's practice comments made national news. Exactly. That's what they were intended to do, in my opinion. As somebody familiar with public relations and PR, you know it when you see it. And I know Kobe pretty well. Kobe's a smart marketing person, and I think that's exactly what he was doing. Did it help the team? It may have. I don't know. JLin said after the Spurs game that it didn't do anything, but the team played well tonight. They did. They played better than they've played in a while. So even though Kobe did that for public relation reasons, in my opinion, maybe it worked. Maybe it worked. Maybe it served a double purpose to get publicity for the game, and maybe it fired the guys up. So that's great. Kobe has mentioned that he has a number of different tactics that he'll use in different situations with teammates and stuff. And I think he just went to this tactic, and tonight it worked. So, good. Great. Okay, now, Byron Scott also said, I believe he said this yesterday about JLin, quote, he has to understand the guys that he's playing with, unquote. Now, I know for a lot of Lin fans, when they hear that, that basically means you got to give Kobe the ball. You know, Kobe's going to shoot, so you got to give him the ball. That very well could be true. I think that Byron also said in that remark, looking at it more of what he said around that quote I just gave, you got to look for guys when they're hot. You got to know when to give guys the ball in the proper spot. Jeremy does tend to be an attacking point guard. He will pass first, but a lot of the passes that he makes are around the basket, like driving and then kick out, driving, then pass to the big man on a pick and roll, driving, make a lob for Ed Davis for a dunk. He's not as much swing the ball on the perimeter type of point guard. So to be fair to Byron, Jeremy does need to work on that. That's not his nature. Or he played point guard in high school, so maybe it was his nature then. But after playing shooting guard at Harvard and being a scorer and being relied on to score, that's not his nature now. He's best when he is attacking. So he's going to have to learn more of that, and that's fine. And I guess that's what Byron was talking about. Now, Robin Lundberg, who is ESPN radio personality in New York, I believe, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that. He put up a tweet yesterday saying that Kobe leads the NBA in field goal attempts by a considerable margin, and he's only shooting 39%. And Kobe is apparently last in the shooting guard position at defensive real plus minus. And Robin made the sarcastic quote, "Good thing he's also demoralizing his teammates." And this was in response to this Kobe practice rant or whatever you want to call it. In other words, Kobe, why are you talking? You're not playing well yourself, and now you're putting down your teammates. But an anonymous Laker, don't know who it is, told TMZ after the Lakers practice yesterday that Kobe was just trying to fire the guys up. And trying to remember the individual, and I will find you right now so that I get it right. And I don't. Yeah, Joshua Timog was telling me on Twitter, and Joshua played basketball in high school. Trash talking goes on all the time in practice. Of course it does. And Jeremy said it after tonight's game. Yeah, we talk trash too. Sometimes the reserves get the better of Kobe and the starters. If you're not familiar with the game of basketball, if you haven't watched it much, or you don't know the culture of male athletics, trash talking is extremely common. It happens every level in every facility you can imagine. It happens on teams, in practice, it happens in games, it happens on the playground, it happens with friends, it happens with rivals. It's nothing. Everybody that's ever played has been engaged in trash talk at some time or another. Especially somebody like Jeremy. Jeremy has been targeted, and we know that in his Harvard days, he would get all kind of racial taunts and stuff. I mean, Jeremy's not, he's familiar with trash talk. It's not like he can't handle it. I mean, he can deal with that. So that's also important to point out. Now, Bleacher Report put up a tweet that I put out yesterday, that I retweeted yesterday, which had on-off stats for Kobe. On-off is very similar to plus-minus. And what it measures is, how does the team do when you're on the court versus how does the team do when you're off the court? And what it showed for Kobe is that the team is significantly better by like 20 points or something when Kobe is off the court. So again, this kind of deconstructs or tears apart the message of Kobe's the leader, Kobe's doing great, and he's trying to get these guys that aren't very good and shape them up. So that's why he's talking trash. Well, but that doesn't hold true based upon the statistics. And that's what Bleacher Report's tweet was about, and that's what Robin Lundberg's tweet was about. Now, is that completely fair? No. Is Kobe the best player on the team? Yeah. Even at his age and with his limitations and everything, he is still the best. So it's not completely fair. And he's trying to do what he can. And Kobe's nearing the end. And he knows it. Everybody else knows it too. He still wants to win. He doesn't want to go out a loser. So he's just doing whatever he can do. And this is Kobe. I mean, this is anybody that knows Kobe, you know what it's going to be. Byron Scott also said, heading up to the Spurs game, that it looks like he's going to not use a set rotation late in the games. So if you watch JLin in Houston with Kevin McHale as a coach, we would refer to Kevin McHale's strategy as hot stock, cold stock. If you're buying stocks on the stock market, you go with the stock that's hot. Buy it when it's cheap, before it goes way up. And then once you got it, you stay with it. That's the way Kevin McHale coached. You're playing well, you stay in. You're not playing well, he pulls you. Less set rotations. Now it appears that Byron Scott is going to be doing more of that himself, and we'll see how that plays out. He or his assistants or somebody was smart enough to put Jeremy back in the game late, so we'll give him credit, or somebody made the right choice tonight. So that was good, even though they messed it up earlier in the game. Now, somebody else said, and I can't confirm this because I did not read this myself, but they said they had read that Scott benched Lin because Lin was taking shots too early in the shot clock. If that's true, and I don't know if it's true, that is essentially the opposite of the Mike D'Antoni offensive principle. Mike D'Antoni's system, when it was used in Phoenix, was called 7 seconds or less. And that means you get a shot up at the basket 7 seconds into the shot clock. So if you have a 24-second shot clock, I want the shot up before 17 seconds are left. Byron Scott, as we know, likes a slower pace, grind it out. Kobe wants to play at a slow pace. So maybe that is why he benched him. I know that Mark Medina mentioned that shot clock management was an issue or a concern that Byron had with JLin. And we didn't know whether that meant he was shooting too quick or he was initiating the offense too slowly. Now it looks like, if this statement is correct, then he's shooting too quick. So we'll see. We'll have to see how that works out. Finally, Byron said one more thing. I don't remember where I read it. He said he still thinks Jeremy's he's still struggling a little bit with how to be aggressive, but how to also get other players involved. Look, if Jeremy didn't play in Byron's system, he'd be fine. This is a system thing. It's a thing of who you're playing with. In Kobe wants the ball in his hands. So if you took JLin right now and you put him in a system like the Spurs, or you put him in a system like Mike D'Antoni, he'd be fine. But now he's trying to grow and learn a different role in a different system with different personnel. So it's not like Jeremy, geez, he's just so bad. Why is he should know this already. No, he's trying to learn a different thing. And as I've mentioned before, and I've said about Houston, good. The more systems that Jeremy can master, the more skills he develops, the better and more complete of a player he will become. So it would be great for Lin fans, if Jeremy was still with Mike D'Antoni and he was putting up 25 points a game with 10 assists per game, running heavy pick and roll, which is what D'Antoni does. But it's not the situation. Now, for the doubters and haters, that doesn't mean Jeremy can't play anymore. It just means you're taking him and making him do this. A good way to think about this for Lakers fans is, remember what Mike D'Antoni did with Pau Gasol. He took Pau Gasol away from the basket, and he made Pau Gasol try to become like a perimeter shooting power forward. Well, Pau didn't look that good. Does Pau know how to play? Of course he does. He just doesn't know how to play like that. And so Pau looked like he couldn't play anymore, or he was not being used right. That's the same thing with JLin. For the last 3 years, the 2 years in Houston and this season in LA, Jeremy's not being used in the way he was used in New York. So it's not that he can't play. It's that he's having to learn to play differently. And that's where this is coming. The same way that it'd be good for Pau Gasol, it was good for Jordan Hill. Mike D'Antoni got Jordan Hill to work on his outside jump shot. It's paid off. It's good for JLin to learn how to play in this system and off the ball and playing different ways, because that's going to help him become a better player. The same way that Jordan Hill has become a better player, because now he can make an outside jump shot from 16 feet. That's it. He can still play inside. but now he can also play outside. This is the same thing for Jeremy. So I would tell Jeremy's fans as well as Jeremy's detractors, don't think Jeremy's washed up, or don't think Jeremy's done, or he's not going to whatever. No, he's still growing. If he can continue to grow, and then you put him in a system that also works to his strength, then you'll see exactly how much he has grown. And that's going to happen at some point. Maybe he leaves the Lakers after this year and goes to a place where he can play in a system that suits him. But it will happen. And so for Jeremy now, be a good teammate. Be cool. Continue to develop your skills. Roll with the Kobe trash talking and everything, and the little disses. One of the things was, Nick Young, after practice yesterday, Nick Young took Jordan Clarkson and JLin aside and told him, you have to stand up to Kobe when he talks trash to you. Don't back down and all this stuff. So, in other words, JLin's the mentally weak dude who is cowering before Kobe's trash talk. So, Jeremy's got to put up with all this nonsense. And, of course, it plays in the silly stereotypes and the meek Asian guy and blah, 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 blah. Well, after tonight's game, Jeremy was basically being sarcastic and was saying, we played pretty good for guys that are trash, or guys that are soft as toilet paper, which is one of the things that Kobe said. So just ignore all the nonsense, find your motivation, and play your game. And that's what Jeremy did tonight, and it worked well. So this was a triumph tonight. It was a triumph for him. It was a triumph for the team. That's it. And Jeremy's the same cocky guy he's always been. Jeremy's a cocky dude. A lot of people don't know that. He seems like he can kind of, when he thinks a lot, when he's overthinking, he'll look really unconfident. A lot of it is more indecisive. It's indecision rather than unconfidence. But when he's in that state, he looks like he has no confidence at all. But that's not really him. He's a very confident guy, very cocky guy by nature. And anytime you see the unconfident Jeremy, or the beta Jeremy, if you want to call him that, don't worry, because Alpha Jeremy is right around the corner. And Alpha Jeremy showed up tonight, and he helped lead the team to the victory. Okay, let's go through some specific quarter by quarter here and see what we got. Early on in the game, of course, Jeremy wasn't starting. It was Ronnie, Kobe, Wes, Ed Davis, and Jordan Hill. As I mentioned earlier, Spurs went up big early, 10-0, before the Lakers even scored a single point. Heading into the middle of the first, Jeremy came in for Ronnie Price, and the score at that point in time was 12-5 Spurs, with 7 minutes and 12 seconds left. Let me just do something else really quickly. I realize I might as well just do this now. Let me do the stats fast, just to get that out of the way. Nick Young, off the bench, led the Lakers with 29 points. Kobe, 22 points, 9 assists, 5 turnovers. JLin, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists. Jeremy played 30 minutes, shot 6 of 14 from the field, including 2 of 3 from three-point range, 0 of 2 from the free throw line, no steals, 1 block shot, 3 turnovers, and his plus-minus was a +10, which was tied with Robert Sacre for the best on the team. So Jeremy had a very positive effect when he was on the court tonight. The Spurs were led by Tim Duncan, 19 points, 18 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 block shots. Tim is 38 years old, and he looks great. He's not quite what he used to be, his movement and stuff, but it's unreal how good he looks. I can't believe he's this old. It's the only person, there's only The only two people I can think of that played as well as Tim is playing at 38 years old are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. And that's it. That's the full list. Danny Green, 19 points. Manu Ginobili off the bench, 18 points, 4 assists. And Corey Joseph off the bench, 16 points, 5 assists. Tony Parker did start this game, but he only played 18 minutes. He was dealing with a aggravated hamstring, and my guess is he re-aggravated it, which he's had that issue in his career before. Missing from this game were Kawhi Leonard, who had a bruised hand. That was the main miss. The Spurs are also missing Patty Mills, their backup point guard, who is recovering from shoulder surgery. Tiago Splitter, who was out for a considerable amount of time, he also played in this game off the bench. 15 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds. Okay, that's a quick going over of the stats. Back to the game action. Okay, so when Jeremy came in, again, Lakers down 7 points. Then Jeremy missed his first shot attempt of the game. He just took a shot from the right free throw line, extended a little bit over from the free throw line towards the right, missed that shot. Soon after that, Jeremy got a jump shot, which I did not see. I can't tell you where he hit it from, but he scored on a shot. Then he scored a layup against Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan at this point already had 2 fouls, and both of them, or actually no, I take that back. He had 1 foul, and that foul had come from JLin. JLin drew a charge against Tim Duncan, and it was phenomenal. Tim Duncan had 3 fouls tonight, and all of them came from JLin. Lin took 2 charges against Tim Duncan, and then he drew a loose ball foul on Tim Duncan late in the game, which was critical. Then Lin, late in the first, blocked Corey Joseph from behind. Corey Joseph got around him on defense, went up for a shot. Jeremy rejected it. Then he had a nice defensive play against Corey Joseph late in the first where Corey was trying to drive by him for a shot, but Jeremy would not let him get by him. So at the end of one quarter, it was 25-25. Teams were tied up. So once Jeremy had come in the game, the tenor changed. The pace changed. Everything started shifting towards the Lakers. And that was big. So just in the first quarter by itself, Jeremy was a +7, which was critical because, again, the Lakers were down big early. Then early in the second, the announcers were talking about, and I was not watching the ESPN feed. I was watching the Time Warner Cable Sportsnet feed. So I was watching the Lakers announcers. They were talking about how Kobe's trash talking at practice had made the national news, etc. Also, I should note Jeremy had 2 assists in the first quarter. I don't know what one of them was. The second one was to Carlos Boozer for a made jump shot. Early in the third, then, Jeremy passed the ball to Robert Sacre for a layup. Then I put Jeremy playing really good defense. Again, he was playing nice defense against Corey Joseph, and his energy level was high. You could see Jeremy he had good energy in this game, including on defense. His confidence looked high. He was aggressive. Soon after, he scored his 3rd shot of the game. He hit a jumper from the left free throw line, extended against Corey Joseph, so he was definitely in a nice little groove there. Then he had a little bit of a lull in defense where Corey Joseph faked him out and then went behind him. He made a cut to the basket. Corey got the ball, and then he scored a layup on kind of like a backdoor play. Then already Jeremy had 3 blown assists in this game. This one happened where he passed the ball to a cutting Nick Young, and then Nick Young basically missed a layup. He wanted a foul call. He didn't get it. And then after that, Nick got a technical foul for complaining to the referee on that particular play. Then Jeremy almost had a steal. Spurs were able to recover the ball, but he was very active early. Then his fourth score of the game, hit a jump shot from the right free throw line, extended a little bit to the right of the free throw line. He already had 9 points. Then he had his fourth blown assist, passed the ball to Wayne Ellington. Wayne missed a 3-point attempt. Then he had his fourth real assist, passed the ball to Nick Young for a made 3-pointer, and that made the score 37-35 for the Lakers. Moving on into the middle of the second quarter. You could see that there was a couple times where Nick was controlling the ball for the second unit. In other words, he was playing the point guard a little bit more than Jeremy. Most of the time, that wasn't an issue. And it will happen at times. Byron Scott's offense is designed for each backcourt person to control the ball a little bit. And Nick's a good ball handler, so it will happen at times. But it wasn't that much. It wasn't that much. Mostly Nick was allowing Jeremy to run things, and that's good. Then Jeremy had his first turnover of the game. He was driving along the baseline from right to left. He was trying to draw a foul. He did not get the foul. Instead, he was called for the offensive foul. So that was a foul on him, plus that is charged as a turnover when you get an offensive foul. Then he had his fifth blown assist, passed the ball to Carlos Boozer, who missed a layup in transition. Then he had a nice defensive play, forcing Tony Parker into a missed jump shot. And anybody that's familiar with the history between Jeremy and Tony Parker knows that Jeremy's done well against Tony Parker before when he's guarding him. I'm not saying he does it all the time, but Tony knows Jeremy can guard him. And that helped Jeremy out tonight, I think. Then still middle of the second, Jeremy had his sixth blown assist of the game. Passed the ball to Nick Young, who did not convert the 3-point attempt. Then Jeremy tried to draw another charge. I can't remember who it was against, but I thought he should have gotten the call, but he did not get the calls. But he was one of the ways you can tell somebody's active on defense and has high energy is if they're trying to draw charges, particularly smaller players. Taking a charge, meaning the offensive player runs into the defender and is called for a foul. If you're the defender, that takes a lot of energy and effort because it hurts. It's not fun to have a guy run into you. So you have to mentally make a decision that you're going to be tough and you're going to take the charge. So if you have somebody that's taking multiple charges or attempting to take multiple charges the way that Jeremy did, you know they're putting out a lot of energy on defense. So he took 2 charges in this game, both against Duncan, and he tried to draw another one here. So he was completely engaged on both ends of the court, which is great to see. Then Jeremy had a nice hustle play where he got a loose ball that was there. He then missed his second. He had his second miss of the game, missed a jump shot. At that point, he was 4 of 6 shooting for the game. Then he had his second turnover. He was driving down the left-hand side of the paint, got up in the air, went to pass the ball, nowhere to pass it. It was a turnover. B told me on Twitter that what he was doing, I think, was he thought that Jordan Hill, I believe, was going to be in a certain spot on a pick and roll where Jordan Hill was going to roll and be in that spot, but he wasn't there. I think that's true, and it's something that's happened to Jeremy a couple times this season. In the last game against the Kings, I think it happened with Carlos Boozer, which is Carlos was supposed to move to a certain spot, and he didn't. And Jeremy threw the ball to the spot, and Carlos wasn't there. So it looks like JLin messed up, but it's more of a chemistry thing. And once Jordan Hill and Jeremy have better chemistry, that won't be a turnover. So right after that, Jeremy scored a 3-pointer from about 30 degrees right at the top of the arc. It was a great shot. What I like about this, too, is keeping the confidence. Okay, you just had a mistake. Now go back and make a good play, and that's what he did. Then, right after that, he drew his second final charge against Tim Duncan. So like I said, Jeremy was bang, bang, bang. He was into it. He was helping the team, and they needed it. Right around this time, the score was tied up at 46, and Jeremy was a big part of that reason. Okay, then late in the second, I made a note, and the announcers were saying this as well. Jeremy looked confident and decisive. Stu Lance, who is a former Lakers player and who is the color analyst, or the analyst, whatever you want to call him, for the Time Warner Cable Sports Net broadcast, he said, yeah, Jeremy looks decisive. He's playing well, as opposed to bad Jeremy or beta Jeremy, who's looking less decisive. So the announcers definitely noticed it. They knew he was playing well, and they were giving him credit, which is good to see. Okay, then Jeremy, on that charge, I believe, or on another play, you could hear Tim Duncan getting frustrated. And I think it was getting frustrated with Jeremy, because Jeremy was really giving him problems when Duncan was on offense, basically getting in Duncan's way, drawing these charges. And you could hear Duncan clearly say, bleeping foul, meaning he thought he got fouled. If you know Tim Duncan, or if you saw the recent commercial with, I can't remember what Foot Locker. It's a Foot Locker commercial with Derrick Rose and Tim Duncan. And the whole premise of the commercial is that Derrick Rose calls Tim Duncan on the phone and tells him that Foot Locker's having a special. And Tim Duncan is supposedly really excited, but he's not. And it's a joke because Tim Duncan is somebody that just doesn't, you rarely see a lot of emotion from him one way or the other. Well, that's about as angry as you'll hear Tim Duncan get. So for Jeremy to be getting into Tim Duncan's head to make him swear, that's an accomplishment. That just doesn't happen. Heading into halftime, 54-50 Lakers. JLin had 12 points, which was second on the Lakers behind Nick Young's 15, and he was playing a great game. 12 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, with just 2 turnovers at the half, and he was shooting 5 of 7 from the field. I did some quick calculations, NBA efficiency, and Jeremy had basically been the most efficient Laker for the first half. So he was playing great. He was leading the team, essentially. Heading into the third quarter, Jeremy, of course, on the bench. Ronnie Price was out with the starters, and Ronnie was having some difficult times with Tony Parker. Tony Parker beat him on plays twice in a row, or 2 times in very quick succession. And like I said, I think Tony was happier that Ronnie was guarding him than Jeremy was guarding him, because Jeremy does give him trouble at times. Okay, moving on into the middle of the third. Ronnie did have a nice assist. He passed the ball to Jordan Hill for a made jump shot. That made the score 69-61, so the Lakers were up 8 points. Popovich was mad. He called a timeout. Look, I'll tell you what happened with the Spurs here. They didn't think they were going to lose, for sure, and they didn't think the Lakers were going to be this competitive. So even though they rested a bunch of guys and were kind of half-playing guys like Parker and Splitter, they didn't think the game was going to go like this. And they just lost. They lost the other night to Utah. So they've now losing to the Lakers and losing to Utah. These are teams they shouldn't lose to. And it's not going to work for Popovich, who's a very animated coach. So I'm sure he was getting into the team pretty well there. And this happens. I said it happens all the time. A team comes in, they play a team with a bad record, and they think they're just going to show up and win. And if the team with the bad record can kind of keep putting the pressure on the team with the good record, sometimes they can win, and that's exactly what happened tonight. And then Ronnie Price missed a couple of 3-point attempts. This is still This is middle of the third right now. Kobe missed a jump shot that wasn't the greatest shot in the world against Boris Diaw. It was a pretty bad brick, and that made Kobe 5 of 14 on for the game at that point in time. Then Jeremy came into the game with 4 minutes and 19 seconds left in the third quarter, and at that point the Lakers were up 4 points, 71-67. Moving on late into the third, Jeremy had his 6th assist to Robert Sacre for a layup. And then Stu Lance said that Jeremy predetermined what to do on the drive. So what happened on the play was Jeremy drove on the right side of the court. He drove to the basket, and all of a sudden he was wide open for a layup, but he didn't take it. Instead, he passed it to Robert Sacre. And the reason he didn't take the shot is what Stu said, which is he already had it in his head he was going to pass the ball. So once he had the opportunity to actually just take a layup, he couldn't because his mind had already was thinking, I'm going to pass. And so you don't want to do that as much as you can. As much as you can, you just want to see what develops in the play. So you're not set to do anything. And that was a good point by Stu. And to be fair, Jeremy made a nice play. And he will get better at that the more experience that he gets going against different defenses. Okay. Then he had a tough defensive play against Corey Joseph. I think Jeremy was guarding him. Corey Joseph scored and was fouled on the play. It might have been on a switch. I didn't see it because I was writing a note at the time. I just know that Jeremy was guarding Corey Joseph, and Corey Joseph scored and was fouled. So I was assuming that it was against Jeremy. Then, it was a questionable call by the referees against the Spurs. Then Jeremy had his 6th score of the game. He shot a little turnaround fadeaway in right close to the basket, which was I didn't know he was going to be able to get the shot off. It didn't look like a great shot, but again, he's good at making shots that don't look good. And that would be the final points that Jeremy would score in this game. Again, we are late in the third quarter. Right after that play, Stu Lance then said, on 90% of Jeremy's plays tonight, he's been decisive and not predetermined. So that's good. If Jeremy's playing in an effective way 9 out of 10 plays, that's pretty good, particularly as he is learning to adjust to the bench role for now, and he's still developing. So that's Stu was giving him credit there. Okay. Then he had another tough defensive play on Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph shook free from him, but he did miss the shot. Then Jeremy missed his 3rd shot of the game. Before this miss, he was 6 of 8 shooting, and he would not make another field goal for the rest of the game. And he missed his final 6 field goal attempts. So it got a little colder, but he had played so well, and he was still setting the pace and making other things happen. He missed, late in the third, he missed a 3-pointer from about 45 degrees right at the top of the arc off of a pass from Kobe. And it was a nice pass. Jeremy had a decent look, although the defender came pretty close, but he just didn't get it. Then he had what I would call an assist that ended up in a foul. It's not really a blown assist. It's more like he passed the ball to somebody and they were fouled, or else they would have scored. So it's a situation that would have been an assist if the person hadn't been fouled. He passed the ball to Nick Young. Nick was fouled, and he got 2 free throws. Okay. I also made a note here that said the Spurs have beaten the Lakers 8 of the last 10 times. So Spurs haven't had a lot of trouble with the Lakers recently, which isn't a surprise given how good the Spurs have been and given that the Lakers have struggled. But, of course, the tables were turned tonight. Then late in the third, Jeremy had his 7th assist of the game, passed the ball to Carlos Boozer for a nice little hook shot in the lane. Then Jeremy had a nice defensive play against Tony Parker. Tony Parker made a little spin move against him, and then he turned the ball over. So he wanted to do something different, and Jeremy kind of shut down what he wanted to do. Then somebody for the Spurs, I believe, was shooting a free throw, and you could see that Jeremy and Kobe were talking. So that's good. They were kind of going over strategy. So at the end of three quarters, Lakers 86, Spurs 75. Lakers were up 11 points. At this point, Jeremy had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists, and his plus-minus was a plus 14, which I believe was tied for the lead on the team. And he had 2 turnovers. Now, headed into the fourth, Jeremy began the fourth quarter on the court. He then missed his fifth. He had his 5th miss of the game early in the fourth. He kind of missed a fall-away jump shot over a double team. It wasn't a perfect shot, but he could have made it, just missed it. Then he was fouled on a shot attempt by Corey Joseph. And then unfortunately, he missed both free throws, which is too bad. He's a good free throw shooter. Then the announcer, Bill McDonald, said, this is the best JLin game of recent memory. So everybody knew he was playing well. And that it's good that they were giving him the credit that he deserved. Then Mike Trudell said that JLin and Nick Young had responded to Kobe's trash talk, which if you follow me on Twitter, you know I said it will be inevitable that if the Lakers win, you will hear that Kobe's practice trash talk was the reason that they played so well. So Mike Trudell proved my point correct there. And fair to him, somebody was going to say it. So, it's not a real surprise that he said it. Then Jeremy had a tough defensive sequence. Corey Joseph beat him for a jump shot that went in. Then Jeremy had his 6th miss of the game. He had a really, really nice one-on-one offensive move. What had happened was Jeremy got Boris Diaw on a switch, meaning that Jeremy ran a pick and roll with somebody, I believe, and Boris Diaw switched to guard Jeremy. What usually happens is when you're a guard or you're a little man and you get a big man guarding you, you're going to try to take them off the dribble or set them up for a move. So Jeremy did the correct thing. He made a really nice step back crossover move against Boris, got a shot that he wanted. He just didn't hit it. To give credit to Boris, though, Boris is really good as a defender on the perimeter. And the reason for that is he used to play point guard himself. I think he's one of these guys that had a late growth spurt like Anthony Davis. So even though he's a big man and he's pretty heavy, he still moves his feet well and he can still defend sometimes like a guard. He gave LeBron James a lot of trouble in the finals 2 years ago. So Boris is not the easiest guy to beat if you're a point guard. Okay, then Jeremy, also early in the fourth, had his 7th missed field goal of the game. He had a really nice play. He was out on the break, fast break. He avoided running into one of the Spurs defenders. So he avoided charging against the defender. Kind of almost made like a little Euro step type of a move. And then he went up for a left-handed layup, but he did not see that one of the Spurs, I believe Danny Green, was behind him, and Danny Green blocked the layup pretty nicely. It was a really good play by Danny Green. So that was just, he just didn't know he was there. Then we got middle of the fourth. Jeremy had his 3rd and final turnover of the game. He was driving from like a right 45-degree angle, driving towards the basket, made a move, and Danny Green stripped him. We've said this before. One of the only ways that it's possible to stop JLin when he drives is to strip the ball from him. Almost nobody can stop his first step, and nobody's quick enough to stay in front of him. But you can't steal the ball from him. So he has to keep working on that. It wasn't a bad play. It was just he saw an opening and he wanted to take it. And he went there. Danny Green read it, and he poked his hand in. So Danny Green wasn't guarding him. Danny Green was like a help defender. It's, again, he'll get better and better at that. He'll get better and better than that. Jeremy will. That's one of the only things you can do to stop him on drives at this point in time, like from a perimeter defender trying to guard him anyway. Okay, then Stu Lance credited Jeremy because what was happening now, this is middle of the third, and it was like 90-83 Lakers. Both teams are getting into a really hurried pace, and they were both getting sloppy. And so what Jeremy did was, once the Lakers got the ball back, he slowed down. Like, okay, let's slow the offense down and reset. And Stu Lance gave him credit for that. It's a really smart play by Jeremy. Kind of, let's calm everybody down. And it was a smart thing. Really nice. Soon after that, Kobe came back into the game. And the Spurs were making their run now. So they started this quarter down by 11 points. And pretty soon they were down by just 5 points. The Spurs had a very good idea of how they wanted to guard Kobe. What they were doing with Kobe was they were forcing Kobe to dribble to his left, into the left corner, and then they were double teaming him. In other words, if you're going to shoot, you're going to have to shoot over two guys trapping you in this left corner. And if you can make it, you make it. And if not, we're going to try to get you the ball out of your hands. So I give the Spurs credit. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they executed it well. And I think Kobe hit one or two shots from there, but he wasn't able to really hurt the Spurs tremendously, at least not as a scorer. He did have some nice passes, though. Okay, then also middle of the fourth, then Jeremy had a little bit of a tough defense against Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph is super fast. He's one of the fastest players in the league. He's not easy to guard. So, Corey got to play, got to score against Jeremy. And then soon after that, Tim Duncan scored, and that put Tim Duncan onto number 18 all-time in the all-time NBA scoring list. He passed Jerry West. So congratulations to Tim Duncan. Hasn't scored as much as Kobe, but he scored a lot, over 25,000 points. Congratulate him. Okay, then moving on, late in the fourth, 3 minutes left, Jeremy on his seventh missed field goal of the game. He was blocked by Corey Joseph on the break. So it was just another good play. Jeremy was getting aggressive and trying to make plays, but he was blocked on this play. Okay. Then, actually, that was the eighth and final miss for JLin. Correct me, I was wrong on that one. So that was his final shot attempt of the game, and he was 0 for 6 in his last 6 attempts of the game. Okay. Then Jeremy, and this was where Byron Scott made the mistake. Now, let's set it up. Jeremy did have a couple of tough defensive plays with Corey Joseph in the fourth, and he had missed his last 6 shots. However, the Lakers were still winning, and Jeremy was doing a good job running the offense. But with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Byron Scott took JLin out of the game with the score being 96-92 at that point in time. And this is where everything changed for the Lakers. Although the Spurs were making a run, but then it was going to get worse. At that point, Byron Scott went with Kobe Bryant, Nick Young, and Wesley Johnson at the point guard, shooting guard, small forward positions. Thinking being, we'll let Kobe make non-boneheaded plays as the point guard, right? And have more size on defense and have more size on offense. Okay, so that was that. Byron said he was going to do this, and he did it. And to give, I know people don't want me to give credit to Byron. That's fair. I understand that for JLin fans. What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. He did not put Ronnie Price back into the game. So Byron at least was, or his assistants or whomever was intelligent enough to not put Ronnie back into the game. And look, we've talked about this before. I said it at the beginning of this video. If Byron's going to go away from Jeremy in the starting lineup or in the closing lineup, he's going to use someone bigger. I thought he'd use Wayne. Tonight he used Nick. So this isn't a surprise. It's basically Kobe as the point guard and then put a tall shooter beside him, either Nick or Wayne. And tonight he went with Nick, which makes sense because Nick was playing well in this game and he was scoring well. And he wanted Wesley in for defense. And Wesley had played well in this game. Wesley had hit a couple nice shots, including at least 1 3. So looked like Byron was going with what he said. I'm going to play the guys that are hot. Now, unfortunately, Jeremy wasn't super hot on offense right now, but he was still playing well. And it would turn out to be the case that you needed him to handle the ball because Kobe did not do a good job of it down the stretch of this game. I think Kobe was just too tired. Okay, then, so Jeremy's out, 96-92 Lakers. Kobe hit a crazy three-point shot that was like super deep to beat the shot clock. That put the Lakers up 9. So at first it looked great. Looked like Byron was the smartest man in the world. Then it didn't look so good. Kobe got a turnover. He turned the ball over. Then he was able to get a jump ball after that. So the ball got away from Kobe. It was on the ground, and then one of the Spurs grabbed it, and then Kobe grabbed it too to force a jump ball. Then Kobe won the jump ball tip, but then the ball was stolen by the Spurs. They went down. They scored 5 points in a row. The score was then 101-97 with 1:19 left. Then Manu Ginobili fouled Carlos Boozer for no reason, although there were no shots on then. Then the Lakers turned the ball over again. I don't know if it was Kobe with the turnover. I didn't see it, so I can't tell you. Then Kobe turned the ball over again. Danny Green ran down and hit a three-point shot. So in 3 successive possessions, I believe, or very closely spaced together, the Lakers had 3 turnovers. That's why Jeremy should have been in the game. I know Kobe, super Kobe. Kobe's the super point guard, super decision maker. Well, this would qualify for the boneheaded plays, which both Kobe and Byron Scott essentially called JLin out for after the Minnesota game. So I hope everybody understands that. Again, we're completely fair here. You have to know this. I have Lin fans telling me, don't give Byron Scott any credit. Don't credit this person. Don't credit that person. But I just call it like I see it. If Byron Scott and Kobe Bryant are going to say JLin soft or JLin boneheaded plays, then Kobe Bryant boneheaded plays. Byron Scott boneheaded decision, taking Lin out. 3 turnovers in a row. That's not it. That's not going to get it done. Now the Lakers, after that three-pointer made by Danny Green, the score was 101-100 Lakers. The Spurs were on an 8-0 run, and there was only 45 seconds left in the game. The Lakers called a timeout, trying to regroup. Okay, then Manu Ginobili almost stole the ball from the Lakers again. So they just could not hold on to the ball. The Lakers could not. Now, Kobe missed a shot. Then Manu Ginobili easily beat Kobe Bryant off the dribble. He was in the right-hand side of the right corner. Looked like he faked Kobe, then just drove right around him on the right baseline, and Jordan Hill fouled him at the rim. So not only was Kobe struggling to hold on to the ball, he couldn't play any defense. So this is a difficult situation for him. And I think he was tired. I think Kobe's old, and his minutes are way up there, and he's going to wear out at times. Then Manu Ginobili gave the Lakers an enormous break because he only hit 1 of the 2 free throws. If he had made the second free throw, there's a very good chance that the Spurs would have won this game in regulation. Fortunately, that did not happen. Then you could see, while Manu Ginobili was shooting free throws, you could see over his right shoulder that Kobe was talking trash to Danny Green. It's hilarious. Danny was sitting there laughing. You could see Kobe with the serious look on his face that Just again, I mean, this is like the practice continuation. Kobe talks a lot of trash, and that's fine. He just pumped up. Okay. Then, so the score was then 101 to 101. And the Lakers had the ball with 6 seconds left. Right? And they were calling a play, trying to figure out what they were going to do. Then Kobe missed a shot from the left baseline. So this was the same type of play that the Spurs had been running against Kobe on defense, which is force him left, make him go along the left baseline, have Tim Duncan come out and help out, and make him shoot over 2 guys. That's what he did. Kobe missed it. It wasn't a bad shot. He just didn't get it in. Spurs rebounded the ball, and they had the ball left with 1.2 seconds left. Ronnie Price then entered the game for defense, which, okay, so that's, insert your own joke here, I guess. Then the Spurs got the ball in, Tim Duncan on the right elbow, so where the free throw line meets the lane, turned around, took the shot, missed the shot, and we were going to overtime. So, again, during that stretch of time in which the Lakers, after Byron Scott removed JLin from the game, Lakers were outscored 9 points to 5, and I believe they had at least 3 turnovers. So the idea of putting the ball in Kobe's hand as a point guard completely failed. Totally, utterly failed. And that has to be said. That's the fair and honest truth. Well, that's it. Okay. Starting the overtime, neither Ronnie nor Jeremy were in the game. So Byron was sticking with this Kobe as point guard, bigger backcourt lineup. Kobe, Nick Young, Wayne Ellington came in rather than Wesley, so that was a change. I believe that's true. I think. I think so. Carlos Boozer, Jordan Hill. Okay. Then the Nick Young hit a jumper. That put the Lakers up 2, 103-101. Then Stu Lance said, it'd kind of be nice to see JLin in the game now. So again, credit to the Lakers announcers. They were calling it as fairly as they could, in my opinion. Then Mike Trudell, who's the sideline reporter, said that the announcers mentioned that there was no point guard late in the game. And then Mike Trudell pointed out that the Lakers had 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter. So the point being like, yeah, this Kobe as point guard might not be working out that great because of the turnovers, and it wasn't working out that well. But then Kobe did have a nice couple of assists, I believe. One of them was to Jordan Hill for a little layup, I believe, or maybe it was a jump shot. That put the Lakers up 105-102. And I take it back. It was not Wayne Ellington in the game. It was Wes Johnson. I just wrote that down wrong. Corey Joseph then easily beat Wesley Johnson on a drive for a layup. So the idea that Wes was, Jeremy can't play defense, you need a defensive stopper, that didn't work. Then Kobe almost turned the ball over again. Then Nick Young shot an air ball on a three-pointer with the shot clock running down. Corey Joseph turned the ball over. At that point, it was 105-104 Lakers. Now, JLin was at the scorer's table. The scorer's table is where you go to report to the scorer that you're coming in the game. You have to let them know so they can mark it down. But he couldn't get in the game. Jeremy went to the scorer's table with about 2 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game. But you can only come in when play has stopped. And play didn't stop for a while, so Jeremy couldn't get in. So, again, whether it was Mark Madsen or another assistant coach or Byron Scott or whoever it was on the Lakers who decided to put JLin back into the game, I give that person credit. Because I think if they didn't do it, they wouldn't have won based upon how this game was going. And so I don't know who gets the credit, but I got to give credit to Byron because he's a coach. If he doesn't, he's got to say it or it doesn't happen. So even if one of the assistants tells them to do it, whatever. I don't know who did it. People said Mark Madsen, who is an assistant coach, and I mentioned on Twitter, it is my belief that Mark Madsen is being groomed to become the Lakers head coach. In other words, in a short period of time, Mark Madsen's probably going to be the coach of the Lakers. I think they don't believe he's ready quite yet. So now he's serving as Byron's assistant to kind of learn. But when the time comes, Mark's going to be the coach. So if it was Mark that put Jeremy in, then that's good news for Jeremy, particularly if Mark's going to eventually be the coach. Okay? Then Kobe did have another nice pass to Carlos Boozer for a basket. That made it 109-106. So Kobe did have 2 good assists there in the overtime. We'll give him credit for that. We dissed him for the turnovers, but got to give him credit because he did have another couple of good assists. Although I believe on that play, he almost turned the ball over. So what it looked like with Kobe was he just tired. He's playing, he's shooting a lot, he's having to do a whole bunch of things, and it looked like he's just wearing down. So when you get tired, you make more mistakes. So maybe that's some of where these turnovers or near turnovers were coming from. Okay, then 109-108 Lakers. Kobe then missed a jump shot, and the Spurs got the ball. The Spurs got the ball. They scored. They went up 110-109 with 1 minute and 4 seconds left. And at that point in time, Byron took a timeout. So finally, Jeremy was going to be able to get back into this game with 1 minute and 4 seconds left. And through that point in time, from 2 minutes and 50 seconds left or whatever in the fourth quarter until 1 minute and 4 seconds left of overtime. So that's a period of, it was 5 minutes in overtime, so about 4 minutes, about 7 minutes of game time. During that period of time, with Jeremy Lin off the floor, the Lakers were outscored 18-13. Jeremy left the game. The Lakers were up 96-92. When Jeremy came back into the game, the Lakers were down 110-109. So no Lin, no win. Jeremy comes back in. Right after Jeremy comes back in, Lakers ran an offensive play that wasn't very good. The shot clock went down pretty low. Kobe took a shot, missed it. Then the Spurs went down with the ball, looking to go up 3 or 4 points, depending if they scored a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer. Tim Duncan got the ball, I believe, or he might have gotten an offensive rebound. Spurs missed a shot. Duncan was going for the ball, and he fouled Jeremy Lin. Basically ran over Jeremy Lin. So Jeremy Lin drew his 3rd foul of the game against Tim Duncan. That gave the ball back to the Lakers. If the Spurs would have scored on that possession, I think they would have won the game because they had all the momentum and the Lakers were reeling. They were falling away, kind of fading away. Jeremy made a huge play, stepped in, got in Tim Duncan's way on the loose ball, foul, no shots, but got the ball back. Now we were running down to there was literally maybe, 20 seconds left or something like that when that foul happened. It was something like that. So the Lakers had the ball. They were down by a point, and they had to score, or else they were going to lose. What happens? They run an offensive set. Jeremy's controlling the ball. Kobe is screaming at Jeremy, I believe, if I remember correctly, to give him the ball. Jeremy doesn't give him the ball. Instead, Jeremy passes it out to Nick Young about 30 feet away from the basket, maybe about 30 degrees left of the top of the arc. So it was at that spot, but maybe 6 or 7 feet behind the three-point line. Nick Young goes up. He takes one dribble, goes up. The defenders all over him. It was all over him. It was a great defense. Nick Young drills the three-pointer off of the assist from Jeremy Lin. 112-110 Lakers. 7 seconds left. Spurs take a timeout. Manu Ginobili takes a shot after the timeout, misses it for, I don't think it might have been a three-pointer or long two. He misses. Ball bounces off long. Team's running for the ball. Time runs out. Boom. That's it. Win, 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 Lakers. So, in the last, whatever it was, 20 seconds, I'll look it up right now just so I actually am getting this correct, because I don't have it written down exactly. Let me just call it correctly here. Lin comes back into the game with 1:04 left. Team down 1. Then he induces Tim Duncan to foul him with 31 seconds left. Lakers are running down the shot clock on their final offensive sequence. Lin, who just got the Lakers the ball back because Tim Duncan fouled him, has the mental clarity to not pass the ball to Kobe, instead pass the ball to Nick Young, which leads to a Nick Young game-winning three-pointer. That's it. That's it. Lin came in and delivered the win. Now, to be perfectly fair, of course, Nick Young hit a crazy three-point shot. So if Nick doesn't hit the shot, none of it matters. But Lin draws the foul on Duncan, passes the ball to Nick Young for the game-winning three. That is it. Lin came through. Like I said, look, after the game, Byron Scott was saying, he likes the starting lineup and he likes the results. Okay, you won 2 games in a row. Well, that's good. That's great. It's easy to say whatever when you win. So Byron can crow and feel good about himself and pat himself on the back, even though Ronnie Price had 0 points on 0 of 4 shooting. But let's be honest here. Ronnie Price played 17 minutes. Lin played 30 minutes. So, a starter or whatever, it doesn't matter. Again, I do think the time will come where Ronnie won't be the starter. We'll have to see how long Byron will go with it before he does that. That's my feeling. Lin, 8 assists. Kobe Bryant, 9 assists. Jeremy did what he had to do. He was ready. After the game, Jeremy said, he was asked, do you think you could have helped the team late in the fourth when you were out? And he's like, of course. So Jeremy, confident, alpha Jeremy versus beta Jeremy. Byron Scott can say whatever he wants. Everybody knows what happened. And look, if he wants to try to go with the bigger lineup and Kobe as point guard, okay, that's fine. It's not going to work in a lot of late games, in my opinion, because Kobe's not going to get any fresher in his career. The minutes are piling up. He's not getting any younger. It doesn't mean he can't do it ever in some instances, but it's going to be challenging. Now, to be fair, the Spurs are an outstanding defensive team. They're one of the top 3 in defense. So not every defense is going to be as difficult to defeat or overcome for the point guard as the Spurs are. So that will be easier for Kobe. But I think Byron got a wake-up call tonight. The idea that boneheaded plays Jeremy isn't going to do it, and Super Kobe is going to do it, got a reality check tonight with all the turnovers that Kobe had. And again, Kobe looked really tired late. You want Kobe to make shots. Sure, you want him to set other people up. And he did that well. With the turnovers, he did have some nice assists late. But that experiment didn't work great tonight. And you need to put Jeremy back in to straighten the ship. And that's exactly what he did. Now, to be perfectly honest and fair, there will be nights where Kobe does it great. There will be nights when Jeremy struggles. What Jeremy wants to do, and what I think the team wants for him to do, is to be able to play that role more consistently and get distribute the ball a little bit more, get people like Kobe shots rather than Jeremy getting himself shots, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's fine. For tonight, Ronnie Price didn't work as a starter, and Kobe Bryant didn't work as a point guard closer. The person who was able to get it done was Jeremy. And so that's it for this game. And the coaches know it. They'll see it. It'll show up on the film. The teams almost always review game film of every game. They'll see it. So now we know that Byron has said that he's going to probably go with this present lineup for 15 or 20 games. The Lakers have won 2 games in a row. And when you win, you usually don't make a lot of lineup changes. So whatever. What I really liked overall with this game is the Lakers came to play. They came, they were focused, they were ready to play. Jeremy said after the game that the trash talking incident didn't mean anything, like it had no effect, didn't make him more pumped up, didn't get him off of, didn't hurt his confidence, just nothing. And he was saying, look, sometimes we beat Kobe's team and we talk trash. So it's like, it's nothing. This is just normal practice. But the Lakers, for whatever reason, they were ready to play. Maybe the game was on TV. Maybe everybody thought Kobe was going to pass Jordan, which he'll obviously do in the next game. He only has 9 more points to go, so that'll happen against Minnesota in Minnesota on Sunday. The team came to play. Jeremy came to play. This was not only was it Jeremy's best game in a while, it was not even close. I mean, it was clearly and by far his best game as a bench player for the Lakers. So I said in the last video that when you are a bench player, you don't have time to get rhythm. You must come in with rhythm. And that's what Jeremy did in this game. He came in, bang, bang, aggressive, ready to roll. So I don't know. I don't care what happened. I don't care if Kobe yelled at him and that worked or Byron. I don't know. Whatever it is, what Jeremy needs to do is bottle it up, figure out whatever worked, put it in a bottle, and bring it out for the next set of games while Byron is going with this present lineup. The Lakers bench as a unit, I believe, scored about half of the points for the team tonight, or actually more than half, like 61 points of 112. Bench was great. The bench was better than the starters again, and we've seen that before. That could very well be the situation for this team, where the bench is better than the starters, at least the bench as Byron Scott presently has it constructed between starters and bench. So that's not a surprise, and I'm glad Jeremy played well, and the team needed him to play well. So we move on to the next game, which will take place on Sunday, December 14th. It will be at the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minnesota has the worst record in the West. They're a very beatable team, and I don't know who will be favored in that game, but the Lakers definitely can win the game. As long as Kobe's healthy and plays the entire game, there's no question he'll pass Michael Jordan in that game. The game is not currently scheduled to be on national television. Maybe they'll change that. Maybe the NBA TV or somebody will pick it up so that people in the United States or around the world can watch Kobe pass up Michael Jordan for number 3 on the all-time scoring list. We'll see. I don't know. I'm sure if they're going to do it, they'll announce it soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it was picked up. In fact, if I was me, I would pick it up. I think they should do it, just because it's a historic moment, and you want to promote the game, do it. That'll take place 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. That means it'll take place at 8 a.m. early on Monday, December 15th in China, Taiwan, and in the Philippines. Look, a great win. The team needed JLin tonight. I think if they would have kept JLin in the game, they would have won in regulation. But again, whoever decided to put JLin back in, I don't care who it is, give that individual credit, because I don't think the team would have won without him. I really don't. So, and I'm not saying that just to be a JLin homer. Based upon what happened in this game, I don't think the Lakers win unless JLin's in the game for the final minute and 4 seconds. So, okay, that is it. We will put information in the video description below the video player, highlights of the game, information how you can come join the Conservative in the Media Facebook group, also how you can come and follow us on Twitter. We have a lot of fun on Twitter. Come follow us there. Information also, and I forgot to mention this in the short video, how you can learn more about Gary Chen, who is the artist whose work you're looking at right now, designed this artwork for our long videos and short videos. Gary is a member of the Jeremy-only Lin Garden fan group, which is a global fan community that I believe is based in Taiwan. I think the commonality of all the members is that they all speak the Chinese language of Mandarin. They're great. They're giving, kind people. They've helped us out a lot. We certainly appreciate all their efforts. We appreciate Gary for his allowing us to use the artwork. Gary is a popular blogger and artist in Taiwan, and he's very good, as you can see. So in the video description, you'll find information about Gary's Facebook, so you can go and learn more about him or talk to him or whatever. So check that out. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. How great was this win? How great was this win? How great was this win for JLin? After the game, again, cocky alpha Jeremy emerged, basically saying like, yeah, we're pretty good. We're pretty good for a team full of toilet paper, because that was one of the jokes that Kobe said, like the second team or the team was all soft and like toilet paper and they're not any good, blah, 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 blah. So Jeremy was being sarcastic. Yeah, we're not bad. We're not bad for toilet paper. And he also said, we're not soft. So basically take that, Kobe. And look, it's all fun. It's all good. It's trash talk is just pump guys up, get them hyped up, get them motivated. I'm glad to see Jeremy perform well. I'm glad to see Jeremy come back at Kobe and the dissing and the haters and the doubters. Like Nick Young said, go at Kobe, go at whoever. Jeremy was very confident. I don't want to say he was defiant after the game, but there's basically an air of, yeah, there's your toilet paper. How you like that toilet paper? And that's good, particularly for Jeremy and what he's been through and in all of his entire playing career and what he's going through now with a new system that's not made for him and playing with Kobe, sidekick. He needs that. He needs to be alpha Jeremy. The tough thing for Jeremy is when he was doing alpha Jeremy earlier in the season, like against Minnesota, he still got, it's like it still wasn't enough for Byron. I mean, Jeremy had 18 points and 11 assists against Minnesota. But it was like, well, yeah, we like alpha Jeremy, but that wasn't the right kind of alpha Jeremy. You still need to pass the ball more or whatever. So Jeremy's trying to figure that out. It's like if you meet a new friend and you don't know anything about them and you're trying to figure out what they like and what they don't like. Well, Jeremy doesn't know exactly what they want him to do. He's used to playing in a certain style. And now even when he's performed well, that's not quite what they want. So he needs to be alpha Jeremy rather than beta Jeremy. But he also has to figure out how to channel alpha Jeremy in the way that Byron Scott and Kobe want, which might not be fair, but he's still got to do it because that's the situation. So tonight he did that. He scored, he passed, he was decisive, he was aggressive, and he was energetic. So it couldn't be any better. He played great. I'm not worried about the turnovers at all. He had 8 assists, and the truth was he could have had about 15 assists in this game. So, no problem. Great win. Woo! I forgot to do that at the beginning. Sorry, my voice is a little bit yoked right now. Just dry. Terrific win. It's a big night for Lin fans. This is a big night of redemption for Jeremy. Lin fans win big in this. Yeah, okay, he's not going to start the next game, even though he probably should. But he's performing. He's back. Alpha Jeremy's back in action. Team has won 2 games in a row. Let's go to Minnesota and try to win again. And if Jeremy keeps playing like he played tonight, it won't be long before he's starting again. I can tell you that right now. So, good stuff. That is it. It is 3:14 a.m. here early on December 13th, Saturday, 2014, which means it is 4:14 p.m. in the Philippines, Taiwan, and China. It's nice to see Tracy from the Philippines and everybody else from the Philippines. Seems like people are basically okay after the nasty typhoon down there, so we're happy that that's the case. It's good that everybody's okay. We've checked in with various people from the Philippines, like Bo and Jelly, and it's nice to see Tracy today as well, too. So, okay, that's it. I hope you have a great day or great night wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Excellent night for JLin and the JLin fan global community. He really came through tonight. He was the key for the team getting this win. I know Nick hit the three-pointer, but he doesn't hit the three-pointer unless Jeremy passes him the ball. And the Lakers don't have possession, only down by 1 point, unless Jeremy takes the foul on Tim Duncan. So, I couldn't be any happier. That's it. Take care. We will be seeing you soon. Talk to you on Twitter. Talk to you in the comments. Have a great night, a great day, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Enjoy. Super Alpha JLin back in action.